grew up in Guinness Cove on the Great Northern Peninsula. I'm a retired registered nurse, and I came here when we retired from Churchill Falls in 2009.
Well, I've lived in Pasadena now for about 38 years, originally from Corner Brook. I've worked in various fields in government, industry, private business over the years. Background is in accounting. And I've been one term on council and decided that I would offer myself for a second term.
Okay, so my name's Skylar Pello. I'm 29 years old. I was born and raised in Corner Brook, where I spent about 20 years there before I went away for school. And I moved to St. John's, where I did the training for the RNC. I'm a police officer. Worked in St. John's for about 5 or 6 years. And then 2 years ago this month, I moved back out here. And when myself and my wife transferred out, we knew we wanted to come to Pasadena, and we've been living in Pasadena ever since.
Well, Anna, as I said, my name is John Hutchings. I live in Pasadena with my lovely wife, Mary. We've been married for 37 years. We raised 2 sons in Pasadena. My oldest son, Andrew, who's 33, he lives in Calgary. And my youngest son, Patrick, who's 26, he lives in Pasadena. And I'm originally from Corner Brook, but I've lived in Port aux Basques, and I've lived in Stephenville, and I've lived in Pasadena twice. And I just returned to Pasadena after working away, and I'm retired and loving it here.
Myself, well, I was born in Glasgow, Scotland, and I came to Newfoundland in the late 60s to go to university, and I never left, as you might say. And I went to university. I got 2 degrees, my BSc in Bachelor of Education, and I became a teacher. I was a science teacher for a number of years, and then I took leave of absence, and I'm presently the executive director of Kill Devil Camp and Conference Centre at Lomond in Bombay.
Okay, so my name is Carla. I'm 37 years old, and I live on Forest Road here in Pasadena. I have 3 sons, Lucas, Andy, and Max. They all, well, 2 of them attend school. Max is a little too young yet, but soon he'll be in the school system. And I teach here at the elementary school, and I've been teaching in the Western region for 14 years. Yeah, so myself, I like to hike and snowmobile, and I like to do a lot of biking, so you might see me on the road more so than anywhere else.
Well, I was born in Cormac, I was raised in Deer Lake, and I've been living in Pasadena since 1987, so it's 30 years in April I've been living in Pasadena. And I lived sometime in Western Canada when I was just a young fellow.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, okay, all right. Well, my wife, Sharon, I've been married to Sharon for 30 years, and that's why I moved to Pasadena. It was sort of a compromise. She was from Corner Brook, I was from Deer Lake. Pasadena's in between. She was living here at the time, so that's how we got to be in Pasadena. And I raised a daughter here as well.
Okay, there's a lot about me because I'm old. So to begin with, I have a husband, Wayne. I have 2 children, Cyril, who's married, and has a wife, Krista, and 4 children, Julie, Joey, Jenny, and Gemma. And I have another son, who's my youngest, is Colin, and he's married to Jackie, and they have 2 boys, Sully and Drew. And I've lived in Pasadena for about 44 years, and I have been postmaster here for 37 years till I retired. I have lots of sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws. I have a beautiful mother-in-law. I have a sister who lives here, and I have lots of cousins, and most important, I have lots of friends that live in Pasadena.
Yourself.
Alrighty. Well, I was born and raised on the West Coast, not originally from Pasadena, but a little town outside of Corner Brook. And I stayed there until I went to university, and I became a nurse. And when I graduated, nursing jobs weren't very plentiful, so I had to move away. I moved to Florida, land of Mickey. And anyway, I was only there a little while, and I met my wife. and we decided we wanted to come back to Newfoundland. And she's not from Newfoundland originally, she's from New Brunswick, but we come back to Newfoundland. So we got married and came back here, and she's a nurse as well. And after a while, we had 3 sons. My oldest is now gone off to university, that's where I was all week. And I have 2 boys in Pasadena Academy. And I live right here in Pasadena, and I'm very proud of it.
I retired from the provincial government in a management position about 4 years ago. And over my volunteer career, I've been involved in a lot of activities. And one of the major ones that I was involved in was with the Newfoundland Trailway. I managed to lobby the provincial government and the federal government in order to preserve that trailway bid, the old abandoned railway bid, to keep it as a recreational trail across the province. Other activities I've been involved in, involved with the Chamber of Commerce that was here, with the Umber Valley Development Association, Strawberry Festival, agricultural fairs, and various things like that. So I've had extensive involvement in volunteer work throughout the years.
Okay.
Well, I originated from central Newfoundland. I lived in Stephenville for 17 years. I moved there in Pasadena some 23 years ago. I'm married to a lovely woman named Rosemary. It's just myself and my wife. And I intend to, I guess, be here for the rest of my days anyway, so such a beautiful town as it is. So, experiences, I've had quite a bit. I'm a former RNC officer, past military services. I am now a veteran. I have experience in municipal politics. I was formerly deputy mayor of the town of Kippens. I have experience in construction and infrastructure. I am presently, for the last five years, president of the Royal Canadian Legion here in Branch 68 in Pasadena. And I'm a member of the Newfoundland Hockey Hall of Fame, where we won the Herder Memorial Trophy for 2 years in a row.
Well, I grew up here in Pasadena. I moved here when I was 5, so I went through all of my schooling here at what was then the primary school, and then moved to the now high school to finish. Upon graduation, I moved to Truro and did my BSc in agriculture, my Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, where I now use those skills, and I work with the government with the Department of Agriculture. So I work with a bunch of commodities, livestock, crops, honeybees, mink, and a little bit of everything else in between. I raised my 3 children here. I had a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And 2 of them attend the Pasadena Elementary School here in Pasadena. What else? My parents still live here. I live across the street from my mom, actually, Emily Naughton Poole. And I'm very active. I love running and hiking, skiing at Marble Mountain. And what else can I say? I enjoy volunteering. I volunteer with the Marble Mountain ski team, and I volunteer as a member of the school council at Pasadena Elementary. And I think that pretty much concludes a little bit about that. All right.
Okay, well, my name's Terry Randall. I was born and raised here in Pasadena, just down the street actually. I think we used to play on this lot as kids. So like I said, I'm a substitute teacher here in town. I'm quite involved in town. I've been involved with, I'm currently involved with the Lions Club. I'm their secretary, and through the Lions Club, myself and another Lions member helped form something called the Leo Club. And the Leo Club is like a Lions Club for youth, so they're doing great things around town and fundraising and all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm on the Winter Carnival Committee. What else am I involved with? I'm on the library board. I've been involved with the library board for probably 13 or so years. I was involved with the Strawberry Festival when it used to happen. What else? I'm usually involved with community theater in Corner Brook. That's how we know each other. I usually involved with off-Broadway players. I've done stuff with TNL before, or I did one show with them. And what else do I do? Yeah, so that's me. Previously, I was involved with the Students' Union at Grenfell campus. I was their president and vice president. I was a counselor there. I was their chairperson for a little while, for twice actually. I was their chief returning officer for elections, and I was a staff person at the Students' Union down there as well for a number of years. So I've been all over the globe. Or not all over the globe, but you know, involved with lots.
Yeah.
I retired from the RCMP as a sergeant back in 1996. I retired right here in Pasadena. I did a career in the force, traveling all across Canada, and lived in a lot of great places, cities and small towns. My wife Sheila, she's from Halifax. We met in Halifax, and she got stuck with me, so she has no choice now. And I have 3 children. My oldest, Chris, and his wife Jennifer, and 2 granddaughters, Hannah and Callie, live here in Pasadena. And Sarah, my daughter, and Jeremy live in St. John's. The 2 grandchildren there, Liam and Aaron. And Nicholas and Kendra live in Guelph, and they have a little boy, Wesley. So I get to travel around a little bit and see them. I really enjoyed traveling across Canada because living in different places, you get to see different things, how some towns do well, how some towns maybe don't do so well. And I found that that's been a great experience. And I've been a volunteer everywhere I went. I enjoy volunteering, and I think volunteering is such a backbone to every community. If you have a good core of volunteers, you can have one amazing place. Right now, I'm president of the Lions Club here in Pasadena. I've been involved as president of the Chamber of Commerce. I work with church groups and Pasadena Strawberry Festival. Just when things come up and there's a need and I'm available. Breakfast Club, I probably ran across you there. And when things come up, I just like to chip in, and that's been my life. Well, Elaine and I, we have 2 children, Connie Lee and Michael, and we have 2 grandchildren. I'm originally from Corner Brook, and when I left Corner Brook at the age of 17, I went to university in St. John's, doing a Bachelor of Commerce, and I was actually one of the first people in the School of Business in Memorial University. And I went on a work term with the Bank of Nova Scotia in Churchill Square. On a work term, I decided to stay there. I didn't go back to university, unfortunately. Very interesting place, actually. Do you know Joey Smallwood?
Do I?
Yes, you know Joey Smallwood. He was Premier of Newfoundland for about 25 years. When I met Joey Smallwood at that ranch. And there was, when he would come in, there would be a big fuss about all these people running around, and Joey was here. It was really great. You know, it was a lot of fun. So I did that for 16 years, and actually we lived in 11 different communities in those 16 years, all through Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. And in 1992, we decided to move back to Pasadena. And we bought it was called Russell Pike Limited at that time, which is now the old Needs, it's actually the new Needs building on 10th Avenue. And we actually ran a grocery store for 3 years. And then eventually went into the Needs Convenience franchise. And we operated that for about, I think, roughly 8 or 10 years. But during that time, Elaine continued to run the business, and I got into real estate. And that's what I'm currently doing now. I've been doing that now for the last 18 years. And Elaine joined me 14 years ago, and we were called the Mesa Sell Real Estate. So we did quite well with that, and we're very pleased last year. Our son Mike joined us in real estate, so now we're called Team Bishop. So that's what we're currently doing now. So I guess this is my 3rd career.
Well, let's see. I was born and raised in Corner Brook. I spent my summers at Boom Siding, just down the road from here, at our family cabin. I spent a lot of time in Pasadena in those younger years. Used to walk the old railway track to Southbrook Park, where there used to be an animal park. There used to be moose and bears and cages and stuff like that. We all had to grow up sometime, so I got older. I went to university, went to Grenfell and Corner Brook, and I done a year in St. John's. And in, I guess it was August of 1990, I was working as a summer student at the mill. and Mr. Frank Sheaves, who was a good friend of my dad's, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, young Cormier, we're hiring the fall. Why don't you stick around?" And I did. And that was 27 years ago. And I'm proud to say I'm a third generation that has made a living at the mill. And I'm hoping, you know, do I really want my daughter Anna to go to work in the mill? Yeah, I don't know. She'll make that decision up in another 10 or 12 years' time when she gets old enough. But I was at the mill. In 2001, I met my wife, Krista. We got married in 03, and in 06, Anna was born. Krista's a teacher here at the elementary school, so we lived in Corner Brook at the time. We felt that it was important for Anna to go to school where Krista teaches, so Krista could be part of Anna's schooling as well and see stuff that she would normally miss if Anna went to school in Corner Brook. So we moved first to Humber Valley Resort. We bought a house in the resort in I guess it was 08 or 09. We joke around. Anna's best friends were two moose, a coyote, and a fox in the resort at the time. So Krista said, "Hal, we got to move into Pasadena." I said, "All right, well, if you can find a nice place to move into Pasadena, have at her." And actually we had friends in Pasadena that contacted us, knew this house was coming up for sale on Hodder Drive, and we bought it. So we moved in on Hodder Drive. I believe we bought the house in 2011, and we moved in 2012. I'm actively involved in, I guess, the outdoor community. I'm the president of the Marble Mountain Ski and Ride Club. I'm an outdoor enthusiast, anything snowmobile, ATV, and hiking, camping, you name it, outdoors, fishing, hunting, I love it. I am a board member with the MMSB, and I see you guys have one of the new compost bins here that you can pick up at the Pasadena place at a reduced cost, because the MMSB funds, or funds or subsidizes the cost to make it cheaper for people to buy and get involved with composting. I am the past president of the Deer Lake Dolphins, so at the end of the interview we'll do that little spiel with the Deer Lake Dolphins. No, and that's about it in a nutshell for Hal Cormier.
Oh, Pasadena is such a nice, quiet, friendly town, and there's lots to do, and I like Pasadena. I really like it.
It's flat, and it's close proximity to get to the great outdoors. Like I said, I love hunting, I love fishing, I love snowmobiling, ATVing, cross-country skiing. I mean, so it's all here.
My favorite thing, I'm going to go with the scenery, the beauty. So it's called Crown of the Valley, and I think that's a very good name for it. And I also like the sense of community. I've lived here for most of my life, and I feel a sense of belonging here. I feel like this is my home. Yeah.
There's so many, but I'll try to narrow it down as much as I can for you. I think Pasadena is such a beautiful, friendly spot with there's a great sense of community, and everybody's so friendly, and it's such a great place to raise kids. And it's safe. It's pretty. There's lots of stuff to do. And we just loved it here. Just a great spot to be.
To me, it's got to be the most beautiful place there is. I mean, you're situated in the great Humber Valley. You look around at the blue hills and all the beautiful scenery. The other thing you look at here in Pasadena, to me, is such a clean community. Such a nice and flat. It's just one beautiful place to live.
Oh, just the total surroundings, the people, of course, the nice flatness of it. You know, not too many hills, and just a great place to bring up children. I've got 3 children, and you know, they're grown up now and gone. But it was a great place to bring up family. Great place for family, safe place, and a great place for the kids to play outside without too many worries.
I just love the rural setting, the nature, the trees, the fact that we provide larger than average blocks of land for our houses. Not opposed to a little smaller block, but definitely need to keep the nature of the community the way it is. Love trees, love nature.
The weather usually. It's a nice, quiet. It's a nice, quiet place. I love that people You see lots of people walking, because walking is like one of my favorite activities. And it's indoors, because I'm not an indoors kind of person.
It's hard to narrow it down because Pasadena is so great, but it's what I love about Pasadena and why myself and my wife say we'll never leave is we've lived in a bunch of different places, especially when we were working in St. John's, and it's Pasadena is such a community. Everyone seems like they're your friends. Like, well, I lived in St. John's, I didn't know who my neighbors were. I lived in Paradise, I didn't know who my neighbors were. Now it's like everyone in this town just seems like they're friends. It's not just people who live together. It's a very close-knit, friendly community.
I like Pasadena. It's a beautiful community. I like all the people here. Everyone here is always so friendly and things like that. There's lots to do here, lots to be involved with, and yeah, I don't know. That's the key things there for sure. I think there's a lot of potential here in town too, and it's something I'm willing to invest my time in because I see all that potential and things like that. So
I like Pasadena because it's nice and flat. Now there are some hills in town, but you know it's nice and flat. It's nice for walking. Look at all the greenery that's around, and it's still a part of a farming community where we have farms right next door to us. We got a farm just up the road. We got the big farm there where they grow the silage for the cattle. So it's still connected to the farming community, and there's a lot of gardening around, a lot of people out walking. It's a very active community.
My favorite, that's a trick question because I don't know if there is any one answer, but one of the reasons after I came here and decided to stay here is because of the people. There's always been a good mix of people here, and people who like the community, and so I would think that's one of the major things that I like about the community.
So Pasadena has so many nice trees and farmland and beaches, and I love that you can walk or bike anywhere in Pasadena. You can get to wherever you want to go, and I also like that you still have some services that you don't always need to go out of town for, so I like that. I know where I grew up, there was one highway through a bunch of communities, so biking as a kid was really tough. It was fun to go down hills, but there was always one more to go up.
The land is flat. Because as I mentioned, I grew up in Corner Brook, which was all the hills and one-way streets. But that's only a personal thing. What I really enjoy about the town of Pasadena is that even though our town is growing, it still has that small town feel, and so everybody knows everybody. People stop to talk to you. I guess the people are really enjoyable here. And the other thing I really like is that the people have a sense of pride in the community. It's one of the few communities you can go to. A lot of times you go to a community and someone will say, don't go over there, that's a bad part of the community. I can say honestly, in Pasadena, we don't have that. It's a nice, very nice town.
I would have to say the people, because people are what make a town. And I love the scenery. There's nothing nicer than Pasadena in the fall with all the beautiful colors. And we're a town that's not very big, but where we have a little bit of everything. And I think in order to have a good town, you got to make sure you have a school. You got to make sure that you have medical care. You have to make sure you have things for the children to do, things for everybody to do, especially the seniors. And a town is built on certain things like maintaining your school, maintaining medical care, and providing for the citizens of your town. And I think Pasadena and the people who've served in previous councils have done a wonderful job up to this point.
Why I chose Pasadena to live was mainly because it was so flat and so beautiful, so well laid out that I thought that's the place where I would really like to settle. I love the lake. I bought a stand-up paddleboard last year, so can you imagine me standing up on a paddleboard? But I do it.
I love the flatness. I love the water. It's the greatest water that you'll ever find anywhere. It's so tasty. And I love the recreation here. The fact that we're only 20 minutes from any other recreation facilities is so nice. And the airport, 20 minutes away, my goodness, you know, there's not too many places that can boast that. That's some of them, but there's so many more, you know, that it's just, I like the fact, one thing that really stands out in my mind is the young people. The young people are so polite, and you notice that just from, you see them holding the door for somebody when they're going into a building, or walking in front of you and excusing themselves, little things like that that makes me think, hey, there's some fine people here.
Well, I have a few issues that I'd like to bring before council and try to get straightened out, try to get some work on it.
I want my old seat back. So it's really, I just feel I still have a lot to offer to the town of Pasadena, and I want to be a part of the future of the town, how we grow, how we build, how we plan, and I want to be a part of that.
I've always thought about running for council, and I'm in part of my career now where work is starting to wind down, and I got a bit more time that I can spend working on council. So I decided this is the time to do it.
Well, I always liked volunteering, and I want to be part of the community. And last time I think we just barely had enough candidates for an election. So this time I thought I'd put my name in and hope there'd be more than 6. We could have a good campaign and lots of competition, and we could hear the issues.
But why I wanted to run, basically it's the big reason for me is my family. So I have 2 little boys. Well, my oldest boy is 2.5, and my youngest is only 7 months old. So I want to do whatever I can to make sure that Pasadena stays as great as a spot as it is for them to grow up. We love it here, and they're really happy here. It's a really safe town, and I want to do whatever I can to make sure that Pasadena stays such a great spot for kids.
Okay. Well, I've been involved in a lot around town. I've coached different sports teams, volleyball, swim team. I volunteer with baseball because my children have been so involved in sports. So I kind of want to get in firsthand and try to help make some of those decisions and prioritize some of the concerns that we have, and hopefully see some of those things progress and to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I deliberated about it quite long and hard. Originally, I had always intended to try to offer myself for a term on council, civic duty, if you want to call it that. In terms of coming back, I see that we still have a lot to do. Some of the things that I was involved in working on, other things that I would like to see changed, and I hope with a new council that would be possible.
I heard a lot of things about needing more women in politics. I had encouragement from 3 or 4 friends and neighbors, and they said they would like to nominate me, and I said, I think I need to think about it. And then they were talking about voter apathy, and nobody was interested, so I said, well, okay, maybe, yeah, that would be interesting. And a brand new experience, a brand new challenge, learning challenge.
I guess I feel I have a lot to offer. I want to see Pasadena grow, expand, and offer services and that to our youth and seniors. I feel I have an ability to just go out and get things done. Also, I guess a couple of issues arose over the summer, and I guess people weren't happy about. People make decisions for one reason or another, not to put blame on anybody. I guess, but people weren't happy, and I was approached by a number of town residents to step up and see what I could do to help move the town forward.
Well, as I said, Anna, I do have a fair bit of experience volunteering with children, with minor hockey and with baseball. A lot of work with baseball, many hours. Do you play baseball yourself? Ever played? That's a great little sport. We got lots of girls. Girls baseball is really starting to grow right across the province. And I work, in my job I currently work at, I work with senior citizens. So I think between volunteering and being around youth and being around senior citizens in my job, I think I have a lot to offer to the community of Pasadena. So I really thought that it'd be great because I've dealt with from birth to seniors.
Oh, well, I enjoy it tremendously. The truth of the matter is I enjoy working on council, and I've seen the progress that we started 4 years ago, what has happened in the past 4 years that council has done, and I guess I said, okay, you know, we can advance much further, and because in a municipality it takes time to get things done. So why I'm continuing is to continue with some of those projects and some more, obviously.
Okay.
I've always been really interested in politics and things, so that was one factor. I guess that there's many factors really. I was also asked by a bunch of people that came to me and I'm like, you should run for council, because like I said, I'm involved with a bunch of things around town. So and then I seen it as a cool opportunity, a new way to do something new and cool in town. It's not something. It's a new challenge for me and something I'm looking really forward to. Something different, right? And something to help the town along.
So I think, or I know with my work and volunteer experience, I have a really good skill set that I can bring forth to this new council and hopefully bring some new ideas and some new different discussion points to council. So I'm hoping to spice it up a bit. I'm a very enthusiastic, motivated, and passionate resident of the town of Pasadena. I love everything about this town. And I feel it's my time to put forth my skill set to hopefully, like I said, come up with some new ideas, give a new perspective to council, and hopefully make it, which it already is, the best town in Newfoundland and Labrador to live.
Well, like I say, we seem to be going in the right direction. I like the direction we're going in. There's still so many things to be done. We're a growing community. You know, the thing about being a councillor too, Anna, is that you're working with 6 other people, and you bring ideas forward, things that are raised to you by people who live here, things that you've noticed, and you sit down and you discuss those things, and you come up with a list of priorities that the most important things, and you get an agreement amongst all the others, and you work on that, and you base that on, you know, how important everybody seems that is, how much money is available, how we can get the money to do it, and you move forward like that. So it's not a one-person thing that I know if I do my wish list, it would be amongst wishes, but I know that I'd have to work with 6 other people, and at the end of it, you give and take, and you come up with a good solution.
Well, I enjoy council. I enjoy the being part of the body that develops the town and sees the town progress, and has progressed tremendously over the years since I was first started. And I'd like to see that progress continue. Pasadena's been blessed with a good number of really well-run councils that did a lot of good work. And I haven't been on all of them, but certainly I took a hiatus often when my family came along, and I went back on council back in the early 90s, and I was there till the late 2009, and then I came back on again in the last election, which was by acclamation because not many people ran. And I enjoy being part of the process that sees Pasadena progress and be the place it is. I mean, it's just grown, tremendously. Wonderful place.
When I retired, I knew I was going to have a void in my life because I was so used to seeing everybody in Pasadena just about every day. And all of a sudden I said, what am I going to do? And I had volunteered on strawberry festivals winter carnivals, the library board, the church groups, and a few times I made little comments about things, and people said, you know, you could run for council. And it put the seed in my mind. So as it got closer and closer to retirement, I started attending council meetings and seeing what they were all about. And I said, yep, I'm going to put my name forward, and I'm going to jump on board and help the team as they're improving our town. I think everybody, not just me, but everybody who runs for council are running to make it a better town. And everybody has a different issue that's important to them. And so you pick out, you know, the few things that you are really interested in, and then when you get there, you find out all the things everybody's interested in, and sort of makes for a well-rounded council.
Well, as a councillor, I hope to help move the town forward. I have a couple of things I'm concerned about personally, but they can get looked after fairly quickly. A little bit better communication with citizens, a little more openness, and so on. But in general, I'm just want to see Pasadena grow and prosper and continue to be the lovely town it is.
Okay. I think what I will do will depend on what the community and its citizens are expecting. Like if I go in with preconceived notions, then I hear what your issues are. So I think I need to put on my best listening ears and see where we go.
You know, basically what we want to see is the council, the infrastructure upgraded. You know, the infrastructure we have in ground now is getting a little bit of aged, and we're having a fair number of water breaks and things like this. And so it's basically, I guess, the time to look at upgrading our infrastructure and making sure that our water system is maintained. Yes, we've got one of the best water systems in the area, but you can always do better, you know, when technology changes. And also the sewer system. Council is important for water, sewer, garbage pickup, and recreation, that type of thing, roads, sidewalks, and make sure that all that stuff is the best it possibly can be.
I just like for our community to be a safe, a nice safe community for the kids. When I walk around town, I see some of the kids I don't think, there should be more emphasis put on how kids approach crosswalks, how they ride their bikes, and the proper way to ride their bikes, how to do it safely. So if I get on council, I will be getting in coordination with the safety officer in town, and we'll implement some programs. So we'll go to the schools, and we'll go to the after-school program at the Pasadena place, and put these programs in so that kids know how to use the crosswalks properly, know how to ride their bikes properly, and so that we have a safer community. And I'd also like to see a place on the back of Pasadena Place where all those alders are on the back there by the brook. See all that thinned out so that we can get back there and go through a nice walk and have a day park back there. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
I hope to accomplish is we have a diverse population. We have seniors, we have young families, we have young professionals. So I think the town has to continue to evolve, attending to the needs of all of these people. And so some of the areas like we're working on, I think Pasadena Place, the activities, it is new. We just got 1 year under our belt there, just about a year. I think increasing the programming there for all the individuals. I think we have a lovely piece of land up at Tipping Drive called, it's Demurian right now, and we keep building on that, and that adds to the enhancement in the town and for recreation for boaters, and brings people to the town. And of course to continue with the capital works or the paving programs, and I think that's kind of important. Actually, there's one starting here on Edwards Crescent today, so we're very, very pleased that we continue with that kind of thing.
Number one thing I would like to see is a new industrial park, so where we can bring in new businesses for a better tax base. The other thing I would like to see is strong support for programs for senior citizens and programs for our kids. I feel that there's not quite enough of programs there for our kids. I think the number one issue here with kids is a swimming pool, and I fought for that the last time I was on council, and I'm pretty sure that I'd like to be fighting for it again. Also, our infrastructure in town now is starting to get a bit old, and it's time to start doing some upgrading. And we also have some 65 homes in this town, you know, that don't have water and sewer at this day and age. So that's another project that I'd like to work on. Seniors, seniors here in this town. We have quite a few seniors in this town, and there isn't enough of programs around for our seniors to get out and about. And that is the thing that I'd like to really work on is our seniors. Our seniors are most important. Those people have worked their day, they're now retired, and they should be kind of looked after.
I guess there's a few things I'd like to accomplish. I guess the core of any council is that you want to take care, maintain all the services in the town, the infrastructure. You want to be able to communicate with the people. You want to make sure your community is safe. So that's the main core of any council that comes in. But there's other things I'd like to see. I'd like to see our trails further developed. I'd like to see us that we have a nice facility in Pasadena Place. I'd like to see us build on that and add things to it, such as maybe it could be a splash pad for the kids, maybe bring back our outdoor rink again. Those are just a couple of things. But I think really what we have to do is mainly we have to go out and communicate with the residents and see what they want to see how we move forward on certain things. One big thing which when I was mayor that I wish this council had probably expanded on, but there are challenges there, of course, with finances and so on. But that's the development of the old Rod and Gun pub, and we had a plan there for a marina. There was supposed to be a theater there, outdoor cooking, natural playground. I'd like to see that developed. I'd like to see our beaches. We have one of the nicest beaches in Western Newfoundland, and I'd like to see us take more advantage of that. So that's just a couple of things. There's many more. That's a couple of the main ones.
Okay.
So there's a few things that I'd like to see. I think a lot of people aren't really happy right now with how the town is keeping people informed of what's going on and what's happening in the town and whatnot. That seems to be an issue that a lot of people are talking about. I've got a few ideas about stuff like that. I'd like to see the town kind of use social media a lot more. They're using it a bit now, but I don't feel like they're really using it as good as they could be. I'd like to see like council meetings. There's no reason why they couldn't be doing those through Facebook Live or something like that, or even recording them and posting them shortly after. If you're able to do interviews with all the candidates and put them on Facebook, I'm sure town council could certainly do the same thing. But then you can't just get away from physical mail outs and whatnot, because there's some people who don't have access to a computer or don't use social media. But instead of sending out these mass flyers to everyone's mailbox, most of which probably end up in the garbage or thrown on the floor by the mailboxes, I'd like to see it done as send one out telling people if they want to get the newsletters, then they need to sign up for it. And then only the people who sign up for it will get them. The good thing with that is you don't have to worry about someone saying, oh, well, I didn't read that newsletter, so now I don't get them anymore. If you didn't read the newsletter that we sent out telling you need to sign up for them, you're probably not going to read all the rest of them that we send out either.
So, some of the short-term goals, I guess, that I have in mind, lots of candidates have already mentioned, improving communication. I see that as a short-term goal that can be easily accomplished. So whether, the website we talked about, keeping that more maintained, the town crier or flyers distributed to residents. if that is expensive, maybe just some notices at public places around town that can maybe give the agenda of council meetings, or give updates as to what's happening, so that things aren't always a surprise. So that's a short-term goal. Adding to the skate park is another thing that my son, he keeps reminding me about that. Some, I guess, long-term goals would be, including sidewalks for children getting to the elementary school and to the beach. Waste management would be another long-term goal that we need to consider, and hopefully we're going to start in schools with that, and everybody can get on board and reduce, reuse, and recycle. So that'll be good. So yeah, those are some long-term goals. And another one that residents would like to see is Pasadena attracting new businesses. So that's something that will help us fiscally, and that I'd like to be involved more in.
Well, I think we've accomplished a lot so far, but I would two things I would really like to make sure, or maybe three. One would be to maintain our school. I always have this fear that somewhere down the line, someone may say that our high school kids will have to go to Deer Lake or Corner Brook, and I'm sure both of those places have wonderful schools. But our community is built on our local students, and I would work very hard to make sure this is maintained. And another thing we have is our waste management. Pretty soon, I don't know if you know it, but all the garbage from Pasadena is going to be trucked to central Newfoundland. And we're going to have to pay by the weight, by the poundage. So we have to make sure we educate the people of Pasadena to recycle to the best of their ability, to not throw things in the garbage that could be given to someone else or used somewhere else, so that if we maintain the lower volume, our rates won't go up. But if everything goes in the garbage, we'll have to pay, and the town of Pasadena will have to pay more. So I would say educate about recycling, and would be very important to me. And another thing that would be important is to maintain things we have. We have good doctors here, we have drugstores here, we have a library, and I have fears that someday somebody may come and say we don't need a library. We need a library. I worked hard on the library board 44 years ago to get that library, and it would break my heart if it ever closed. So those are some of the things I would like for our town to have and maintain.
I guess there are a couple of things I would like to see done as a council over the next 4 years. One would be to have infrastructure in place that's going to attract young families to come to the area. With a declining population, Pasadena has it, Corner Brook, they're all declining. We have to compete to attract families to come in. And you have to have the infrastructure in place. We got to go compete against Deer Lake, Corner Brook, Massey Drive, all points in between where families may come in and move. We want to be able to get out there and say, or they want to be able to look at Pasadena and say, wow, look at all this they have in place. Let's put the infrastructure in place. And one such piece of infrastructure, and I really wish the town moved ahead with this back in March, and I know it was over budget, but sometimes you gotta make the sacrifice to get stuff done, and that's that splash pad. The town of Humber Arms South, a good friend of mine, Arts Mitchell's mayor down that way. If they can put that in down there, why couldn't we find a way, find the means to drive that through and put that in the ground here in Pasadena?
Yeah, that's a...
Would you like a splash pad? Do you know what a splash pad is? It's like a water park. It's an area like your backyard, and water shoots up out of the ground. It fills buckets of water and tips it over on you. And it's a nice, clean, safe environment that moms and dads and nans and pops can bring the kids to. And with the issues that we've been having over the last number of years with the water quality at Pasadena Beach, even down at our own cabin and boom siding, the smell when the water gets really low and the algae build up, it'd be nice to have somewhere to go that you can bring your children to a nice, safe environment.
Well, initially I was looking at communication. I seen that there was some issues or perceived issues with communications, that the town probably doesn't let people know what it's doing well enough. I mean, there's a way you can go in and sit on council meetings and things like that, but people don't necessarily have the time in their schedule to go in and sit on council meetings and things. But so it would be nice to better advertise what the town is doing, then it would be better, I think, if we advertise things in town, because for example, when people come to town, they don't necessarily know how to get to things. Pasadena Beach, to the restaurants. So like maybe some directional signage in town would be nice. So that's another kind of communication thing. While it's not from the town, it's telling people how to get around town, and like helping tourists out and things like that. It's better to advertise ourselves in that way. What else? I see green space as an issue as well, protecting it, because well, this is a prime example. Like there's lots of trees and greenery and things like that. It'd be nice to protect that that aspect of our town, because if you drive anywhere in Pasadena, there's lots of trees and things. So it'd be nice to kind of protect that feature of our town, because it's something that people like. There's lots of different things. I want to go there and do my best to represent, I guess, the people of town and things like that. So, yeah.
I really would like to see a lot of effort put into getting affordable housing here. I mean, entry-level homes, because a lot of young people starting out, young families, you really can't afford to go and pay the big prices for a house when you're just first getting to buy a home. And I think the town can do things to make that happen, so that we can get homes that they can afford to get into and get started. I really think we could use a marina here, and there's something that's a fair bit of work's been done on, and I'd like to see that through and see it out. And I really think we should have an ambulance in Pasadena. And I know that the fire department end up responding to a lot of emergency calls that are medical calls. It places them in an awful difficult situation sometimes. And an ambulance, will cut down about a half hour on it. If you call an ambulance, you've got a minimum half hour you're going to wait for an ambulance. And we could make that happen. I think so many people, especially senior people, would feel so much comfort from having an ambulance right here. And of course, then there's always upgrades to our infrastructure. There's places in this town that don't have water, and there's places that don't have paved roads, but you're going to get a paved road just coming up here now in the next few weeks in services. And those are things, and there's so many others, but with the experience I've had on council, I got a pretty good idea where I think we should be going, and how to work on those things.
Well, glad you asked that question, Anna. I have a very extensive list. I have a lot of goals to accomplish over the next 4 years once elected into council. My first main goal is to focus on increased communication between the council and the town residents. So included in that would be communication and transparency, so everybody's aware of what's happening. My next one would be to engage young families. So I think there could be there's a large connection there that's not currently happening, and I'd like to focus on that. Physical accountability and tax-based improvements. So a review of that, and just a new set of eyes to see what's happening there. Involvement in education. We have two very good schools here in Pasadena. We have the high school and the elementary school, so I think the town should be actively involved with those two facilities. As I said, my education and work experience is in agriculture, so I'm very passionate about agriculture, and we all like to eat, of course. So agricultural development would also be an area of interest for me. A review of capital assets, expenditures, and spending per capita, to ensure that our spending is the same as every other town in Newfoundland and Labrador. Sure that we're kind of just on a level playing field. The review of the off-road vehicle policy. I guess you've read a lot about that on your site. So a lot of discussion, good and bad, but I think policies need to be delivered to the residents, and everybody needs to be aware of what they are and why they're in place. So whichever way they would be. But I think knowledge is the best answer to that question, because if people understand what they are, people are more acceptable of the decisions. Affordable housing and for seniors. I've been doing some campaigning, and there's a lot of concern there. But I think it's something that can be addressed by council, and small, little minor changes will make a big difference. And attracting new businesses and job creations. So in order to make this town more vibrant and more developed, more dynamic, more jobs, more opportunity to spend your money here, more opportunity to make money here. And all those things will make this town more, function in a better manner. So those are an extensive list. But like I said, pretty aggressive. Also, I want to put forth efforts to address the concerns of the residents of this town. I would be a councillor, and the council's first goal is to bring the residents' comments to council. So you are a public servant, and that's what you need to do, first and foremost.
Well, there's a few things I'd like to accomplish, or at least try to accomplish. You can't always accomplish everything, but you would try. I would like, first of all, I want to be able to give back to the community that's given me so much. Like I said, for 15 years now, I've lived here, and I've gotten so much. My kids have grown up here, and it's such a great place. So I would like to be able to give back some for me. So what I would like to do, there's a few things I would like to try. The walking trails and the hiking trails around, I would like to see some further development, because Pasadena has such beautiful scenery and such a beautiful place that if we had more hiking trails, more developed places that people could go and walk through the woods. I do a lot of hiking, and I really enjoy Pasadena. The hills and the trails are beautiful. So I'd like to work on that. I'd also like to see about working with the Newfoundland Trailways. I don't know how much you know about the ATVs and the motorcycles, but there's really no route to go through Pasadena. And I think that if we work with the Trailways, maybe there's a solution, but I'd like to be on council so we could start working that type of thing. I think we're missing out on a little bit of tourism that way, because if people can't come to our town and stay in our town and spend money in our town, we're missing out on vital tourism type things like ATVs coming through. I'd like to see some more of our recreation facilities development. I'd like to see support for the soccer and baseball programs, basketball programs for the youth, and programs for seniors. We have a very active community, and I would like to see that continue and even grow some if we can. There's room for business here as well. There's little stores, business popping up all the time, so we're hoping that I would like to see more and more of this. I also would like to be able to achieve something towards affordable housing for people. I know you've been reading the Facebook posts, and it's a topic. We need seniors and general families, young families need affordable housing. I know the town council don't build houses, but there must be some exploration we can do to have a look and see what can be done. Also, there is an issue with speeding on 10th Avenue. I know somebody brought it up on the website, on the Facebook page, and I do know I attended a council meeting a little while ago, and I know there were speeds in excess of 150 kilometers an hour registered on 10th Avenue by the ball fields, the soccer fields. That's pretty fast. So I'd like to be able to explore. I know speeding is it's an RCMP thing in Pasadena, but the town maybe might be able to do something regarding speed bumps, something to slow people down. There's a lot of kids playing around there all the time, a lot of sports happening, libraries there. It'd be nice if people could walk safely and not have to worry about those speeding cars. And I guess overall, I would just really like to make Pasadena, or help make Pasadena, stay the best place in Newfoundland to live.
There's rather multiple areas, but I think I can probably bring it down to two. The first is to do with governance. I think a lot of councillors going in don't understand that the roles of council. We essentially are like a board of directors. We set policy. The council has essentially one employee, our town manager, our CAO as we refer to him. A lot of new councillors don't realize that they just can't go and talk to any staff member, and not only talk, that's fine, but ask staff members to do things. That's not their job, that's not their role, that's the role of the town manager. So issues dealing with governance is a big thing on my agenda, as well tied into governance is transparency. I don't believe that as a town that council is transparent enough. If you look at our minutes that are listed online, it's hard really to understand where any particular councillor stood on a particular issue. So I'd like to see that expanded on under the rules of procedure for council. So governance is one of the big areas. The other thing is to do with as I said, things that really are unfinished. And a big part of that for me is planning, long-term planning. I don't think that we can sit around a council table, find out that we've been approved for X number of dollars for that year, and then make decisions just on where we're going to spend it. The idea of spending needs to be more long-term. We need to decide, where do our residents need it? Where do we need it for all categories of residents? For seniors, for our youth, who will be our voters and our new councillors in not too many years, but for all. And we need to do that planning 5-10 years in advance. Then when we take on a project, it doesn't have to be, I'll just pull a number, $1 million for a project in 1 year, which can place a burden on the taxpayers. Instead, we can plan to do it in phases over a period of years. One of the big things that I did when I was first on council, because I was put as chair of finance, was to bring in a policy of setting aside capital reserves. Now, capital refers to physical infrastructure that we're building, like Pasadena Place. It could be water and sewer, these types of things. But we don't know, for example, one of our loaders could break down tomorrow. If it does and we have to replace it, we're probably talking $350,000. By having capital reserves, that's money set aside, we don't have to be going to the bank or to the citizens for tax increases to deal with these all the time. So a lot of planning needs to be done. We're not doing nearly enough of it. And I hope the new council will come on side with that kind of thinking.